Greetings and welcome back to the weekly news roundup. I hope that everybody has had a wonderful week, although it may be a sauna for many of you out there. I did check the Farmer's Almanac. Yeah, it looks like it's going to be really hot summer, and that's not really good in my case. Maybe I just need to get away from this giant river I'm camping next to. Van down by the river might generate a lot of humidity, so we'll move on soon. We are on Starlink today by necessity, and I am showing 25% dropped frames right now. All you people saying, move to Starlink, it's so much better. These are all the things I predicted. And I don't know what it is with Starlink, especially right here. Like, I have a perfect view of the sky. I'm only getting only 20 down. Usually you get 200. And I'm generally getting enough up, but I don't know. Last time we did Starlink, it was all right. I think one of the contributing factors is I'm actually parked next to a building, and they actually have one of the permanent Starlinks mounted. And I'm wondering if I'm just too close to a permanent Starlink that it may be interfering with mine. That's a theory, because this is really the only time I've ever seen Starlink with a perfectly clear sky only get like 20 down. Totally weird. But anyway, we have to do that today. There's very few cell signals where I'm at, but hey, we have a stream going. Last time we did this, even with the Jitsi add-on, the stream, it turned out all right. It was a little bit, there was a little bit of a buffering from time to time. But for the most part should be all right. But let me know if it gets too bad. I'm going to look at the comments on YouTube as we go through. But of course, like usual, we are not going to be covering the comments until we get past our three main stories. You might also notice our that Mastodon logo down there in the bottom corner down there has that little X around it. That's because the Fostodon, the open source, committed to open source, they banned me for wrongthink. Best I can tell, it's when we were talking about the ICE riots and all of the people going down there and burning down LA because they're trying to literally went to LA to arrest 15 actual violent criminals who committed crimes against women and children, and that is what caused the LA riots. And I think that's the one that did them in. So they apparently do not want safe cities. Frankly, it's all the same people involved in all of the left-wing woke morons over at GNOME and KDE. I really want to speak kindly of them, but I just think they're demented idiots. That I don't know. Maybe part of me is just tired of being nice. You see, I'm a centrist that kind of leans right, and I'm not overly political. And it still doesn't matter. These people are just crazy and insane. I know. Ivan is like, you come over to Discord. I hate social media. I don't know if I'm going to. We got it on X. That's pretty much the platform I'm good. I'm pretty big on. So that's where we go. I don't know. Let me know in the comments. Should we create a new switch to Linux over on Disroot, which is just another Mastodon? From what I gather, that's actually put together by intelligent people. So I don't know. Let me know your thoughts on all that, though. But with that, if you do want to help support the channel, have a look over the website at switchtolinux.com/support. We have a list of affiliates over there. If that ever changes, those affiliate lists will automatically change. We do have links. We have locals. We have Patreon. We have Subscribestar. And those are the ones that we have. There's other ways you can help support the channel as well, including having a look at our books. I do have 2 science fiction books that are secular. I have a lot of Christian books. If you're into the Christian stuff, I have a lot of that as well. But as far as the secular, if you're not into that kind of stuff, Code Red is my collection of short stories. You can find information on it at tlm.li/Code Red. That will take you to this page here. You can buy it from here, or alternatively, I'd prefer you buy it from another of online retailers because, I don't have to fulfill the order directly that way. This is available in softcover ebook and audiobook, which you can check it out on audiobook on Spotify, which we're going to be talking about the lawsuit about that later on in the show. So I did want to go ahead and promote that. But this is a collection of 10 short stories regarding technology, and it's the dark side of technology that is not often told to us. So very fascinating stories if you have not had a look at my book, Code Red, Dark Tales from Tech, Volume 1. I was hoping to have Volume 2 out, but that whole situation this winter kind of messed me up. Next year, we'll get back on track with our short stories. And with that, we are going to jump right on into our very first story for today. Why do I keep doing that? I literally moved off of that camera system specifically to not hit that logo. My apologies. Officially now, we are going to move on over to our first discussion. And this is, we want to have a discussion about the RCS, the Rich Communication Service. And this particular topic we have actually titled The Great RCS Push. And I want to really bring you up to speed about what's going on with RCS and why this is a major warning. And I think that it's something that we'd probably be good to be very cautious of. And so let's go ahead and chat about it. First, what is RCS? So RCS is the Rich Communication Services Protocol. This is the successor to the SMS and MMS messages. Of course, when you're doing SMS, it has a big downside that they're all basically unencrypted raw text files floating through the internet. They're put through by a mishmash mattering of all of the various carriers. The carriers go ahead and put everything together, and what they'll end up doing is just, you send a text message, it goes into the carrier, and the carrier looks at the number and then routes the message onto the number and all this kind of stuff. So what they wanted to do with RCS is have something that in theory is a little bit more secure, but I don't know if it was the security as much as it was all of the other features. Mostly dealing with that Android-Apple messaging debate and the colors of the bubbles, and I forget which bubble's the good bubble, which bubble's the bad bubble. I think it's the green bubble's the good bubble on the iPhone. The green bubble means this person is also an elated person with my precious, precious iPhone, and the blue bubbles are those evil Android people. And so RCS seeks to effectively produce an Android-based level service as the same one as the iMessage is. The iMessage platform is end-to-end encrypted, and it does allow a lot of other features. Basically everything you see out of WhatsApp, Telegram, and Signal. You get read notifications, you get type notifications, you can do calling through it, you can send larger files, you can send full-scale files, and things like that. Now, what's interesting here is on the Google support page, who's been leading the charge and actually doing a very rapid embrace, extend, extinguish on the charge, RCS chats are typically provided by your mobile carrier and in some cases by Google. Are they really? Well, it turns out that Verizon, T-Mobile, and AT&T all end their cross-carrier RCS plans. This is January of 2025. So recently, major carriers across the United States announced the cessation of their cross-carrier RCS initiatives, stirring conversations about the future of the mobile space. Well, it was a successor to SMS, as we already talked about. Now, the challenge here is, of course, is that all of these different carriers had their own messaging apps, they had their own services, they're trying to all implement RCS, but the getting all of these RCSs communicate was part of the challenge. So what did they all start to do? Well, like dominoes, one by one, they all fell over, they all got rid of their own independent applications and all pushed everybody onto Google Messages. That's right. So Verizon, AT&T, T-Mobile, they all drop it. All of their carriers are even ending their own ways of doing the messages. They're ending their own applications, all that kind of stuff. AT&T messages shuts down. Why is this happening? Of course, it has to do with the RCS issue. The carrier is encouraging customers to switch to Google Messages because the app will work across Android phones and tablets, providing the same features. The end of AT&T's texting apps is taking place partly to make way for the RCS texting standard, which now supports modern texting features like typing indicators, high-quality media sharing across Android and Android phones running Google Messages, and iPhones that are running iOS 18. Now, I will throw a caveat in here in case I don't have an article detailing it later. The RCS messages on Android going to the iMessages on Apple are not yet end-to-end encrypted, at least as of right now, to my knowledge. But basically, they're all doing away with everything, sending it all into Google's hands at the same time. And then, of course, Verizon Messages shuts down today. This is December of 2024, so about 7 months ago. What's happening and how to switch. Verizon customers relying on the carrier's Message Plus texting app will soon need to change over to the phone's default texting app as the carrier plans to fully discontinue on Monday, and they're recommending moving to Google Messages. Well, that's interesting. Samsung Messages to drop RCS support on the major U.S. carrier next year. The change is expected to affect Verizon users starting in January, and users are being advised to switch to Google Messenger. Even on Samsung phones, they've dropped their messaging app. All roads apparently lead to Google Messenger. This is getting interesting. And so looking forward, how does this work? When you use RCS chats by Google, messages are sent and received through Google's RCS infrastructure over the internet. Okay, so it was all these carriers. They have all jumped ship, and every one of them is saying to use Google. So now, literally, if you are using RCS, every text message utilizing RCS is going through Google. Now, they say, and I've seen things on like Tom's Hardware, nobody can read the messages, even Google. I'm going to beg to differ, and I'm going to show you the evidence for that at the end of this section. But when you use these, messages sent and received through Google's RCS infrastructure. So the information they use, when you turn on RCS chats, each time you send a message, Google checks your contacts to see if they also use RCS chats. So if they're using RCS chats, it reroutes the RCS by checking the phone number that you are sending the message to. So Google, at the bare minimum, has the metadata for every person using RCS. Now, obviously, Apple has this data for everyone using iMessages. WhatsApp has this data. I don't trust them either. That's a Meta company, of course. I just have something against trusting a company that made the logical choice to establish their address as one hacker way. Call me crazy here, but there's something about that just doesn't sit right with me. Signal would effectively do the same thing. I would probably trust them a little bit more. And so how and why is your data temporarily stored? Google's RCS infrastructure sends and temporarily stores files like images, video, GIFs, and stickers with random unguessable URLs. Okay, so the actual images. So these are not necessarily encrypted. These are the actual images at unguessable URLs that, given an AI computer, I'm sure can guess a couple of these URLs. I bet these are not as unguessable as they want to believe. To prevent connections between hosted file and your phone number, Google uses a special algorithm, a hash function, that transforms these URLs and makes it very difficult to associate the file and your phone number. Very difficult. Okay. Well, I'm sold. The rest of the article is just how to turn this on. So, of course, this is Samsung setting this on. Google, however, is seeking some control. They are blocking RCS if you have a rooted phone. Interesting. So they want everybody to be using RCS, and then as everyone is using the RCS, now what they're going to do is they're going to push, basically say that now all messages go through us. If you have a rooted phone, you can't use this service of ours. Interesting. Now, they've always, of course, said, well, you can always use the fallback and use SMS if you're rooting your phone. So Google is cracking down on rooted Android devices, blocking multiple people from using RCS message feature in Google Messages. One example from Reddit user Joe Fuff shows that RCS messages would simply vanish after hitting the send button. I believe this is his Twitter post. He says, heads up, users are reporting that Google Messages app won't let them send or receive RCS messages on the OS if the OS is rooted or hasn't passed a GMS certification, like most custom ROMs. There has been a fight about the GMS certification with Graphene, which I think right now is working, but I'm not totally sure. They say it seems that Google Messages has implemented Play Integrity API attestation checks. So if you are taking stronger steps to prevent Google from tracking the things you're doing, well, good luck with that. Google responds. They said that this is Ivy Hunt, the Google Communications Manager, ensuring that message issuing receiving devices are following operating measures defined by RCS standards. So in other words, yes, Google is blocking RCS on rooted devices. Google rotates through many solutions to ensure Android users can communicate sufficiently, and devices that may not have access to one protocol will always have at least one other available, said Hunt. In this case, the users not able to use RCS still have access to SMS and MMS messages. So you have to have a Google certified phone in order to use RCS. Why are we making a big deal about it? And you know what? In everything that I did here, did I not include the one article? I literally put everything together here, and the one article I left out of this, and apparently it's not anywhere. I left out the main reason we're talking about this today. Lord, help me. Maybe I'll just blame it on the massive heat waves. But literally, the reason we're talking about RCS is in the next version of Google Messenger, there's going to be an option in there where you can send notification requests to insist that your friends turn on RCS. I have no earthly idea how that article that was literally in my notes, that is where we started, somehow vanished. But anyway, I wish I could pull up the article and show you. But yes, the next version of the Google Messages app, it was found in beta, and they are now having an option in there where you can push the notification in order to make sure that all of your friends have turned on RCS as well. So in addition to Google making sure that nobody else could use the protocol, they've done so by keeping all of the protocol works close to the chest. They've done all of that. And then what they have done is they have restricted any other third-party service, even Samsung, from accessing what they need to run the RCS. Now, everybody using RCS must go through Google. They've got rid of all of the carrier systems. Everything's down, and you have to have a phone that has Google Play integrity services and has a GSM check. And so basically, they want every phone to be on their terms, and they want every message filtering through Google's servers. Of course, spam-like messages are getting through as well. Now, this actually started with somebody who simply had a misconfiguration, but it turned out about a year later, other people were noting something that looked very similar. And so what happened is many Google Message users were getting a myriad strings of things to a legitimate forum post that was going to basically how to decrypt a message or something. The speculation, Google has not responded to those information about the spam, but the speculation is that most of the failed messages are coming from unknown senders. It could be the source of a spam bot gone rogue. We think that the spam bot could be looking to identify and farm active numbers via read receipts, and the messages coming through without decryption is just a malfunction. So a spam bot is utilizing the RCS. This is the theory from Android Police. And Google is mum on this. They have not given any statement one way or the other about what's going on here. People are receiving tons of these things from completely unknown senders. Android Police speculates they are using the RCS protocol to look for read receipts to verify real phone numbers. Very fascinating. So, of course, now Google wants you to spam your buddies also to turn it all on. Why is this a problem? This is what I'm going to look at and question. Can Google really see your messages? Tom's Hardware says in like every article, not even Google can read it. It's end-to-end encrypted. And I'm not sure it is. It is end-to-end encrypted. End-to-end encryption, remember, is not zero-knowledge encryption everywhere. End-to-end encrypted means it is encrypted between this device and this device. And remember that Google server is the central server where all of this goes through. So have a look at this. This is reporting spam in Google Messages. Google employees and contractors may also review your spam information to help improve Google's spam and abuse protection for Google Messages and Google's other products and services. Reported conversations are also used to train AI messages. So here we have a situation where they have something in here to look for spam and abuse. You cannot have a way to look for spam and abuse and messages that are being sent through unless you're able to see the messages that are being sent through. You can't do it. Additionally, if you report a message as spam to Google, Google gets a copy of the last 10 incoming messages from the spammer so we can improve spam detection. In group conversation, this can include messages from users other than the spammer. So if you send me a message and I mark it as a spam, Google gets a copy of the last 10 messages that spammer sends. Interesting. So clearly, they can access the messages. It's just like a dragnet. There's too many going through for them to be watching. But of course, with AI, maybe you can look for certain trends, like, having a spam and abuse filter filing all these messages through after you've prevented anybody else from using the service to force all messages to go through your own platform. Each reported message sent with rich communication services includes an identifying RCS message ID. So clearly this applies to RCS as well. Obviously, if it's just SMS, yes, Google could get a copy of that. That's easy because SMS is not encrypted. But this clearly is indicating RCS can also be viewed by Google. When Google Messages detects a message as spam, so a message goes through, they simply detect it as spam. How can they do that without looking at the message in some way, shape, or form? When it detects it as spam, that message can be dropped and senders can be suspended if found to violate Google's terms of service. So Google now has the ability to issue a kill switch on all of your communications. Remember, this is a platform that they started out to say, we're going to work with everybody to have a centralized standard in order to have this measure here to make sure that nobody can have these messages that just doesn't have all these rich features. Google wants to help with that. But then they won't release all the information about how it works. Nobody else can get it to work. So one by one, they fall over. They hand all of their clients over to Google. Every Android message going through RCS goes through Google services, which clearly have ways to see the messages and to run those through spam bots, and your account can be simply banned if you're engaging in wrongthink through text messaging. And of course, the one article, for whatever reason, I completely forgot to include in all of my research. This is what happens when I did all this research. Apparently, I forgot to put the original article back in my list as I was doing research. The next version of the Android or the Google Messages application is going to have an option for you to identify people not using RCS and encourage all of your friends to turn it on so that, they can get read requests and send bigger files and all these things that are an interesting user experience, a really neat thing. It's cool that I can look at there and see that my buddy is typing me back because I'm neurotic and I need to have that instantaneous feedback. It's one thing to have that. But when all of these concerns are here about RCS in my mind, you can't have these spam and abuse filters without having a situation where they can't see your messages. They're seeing the messages, and now they want to push through a system in order to get everybody there to turn these systems back on. Isn't that wonderful? And I cannot believe I forgot that main article. All right. We're going to move over to our second topic tonight. And this is the AI Barbie girl. So, of course, AI is, I've always talked about AI being somewhat problematic. There's ways you can use AI appropriately. And in fact, this research article that just came out is an indication of how it can be used properly or maybe not so properly. So this is a new research. I think this one came out of no, this is MIT. I don't know. Is it MIT or Harvard? I read too many research articles on AI this week. New research says using AI reduces brain activity, but does that mean it's making us dumber? Footnote, yes. All right, so here is basically basically like brain scan, just some figures just to suggest what's going on. Effectively, what they did is they took a small sample size. This was MIT, 54 students, and they asked them all to write essays. One group of students used their own brains. They just had to write an essay about something. Another one was told to use search engines for information. And a third one to use an AI assistant, specifically ChatGPT. And of course, predictably, the group that wrote by hand, they had higher brain activity as recorded through EEG headsets. And they also had a lot more knowledge about the information that they were writing about, and they were able to recall it and talk about it much better. The group relying on the AI had almost no memory, and they had almost no ability to recall any form of information that was going on. And so ultimately it boils down to the fact that the more we lean in on AI and allow AI to do our work for us, when we allow that AI to do our work for us, the challenge that we get is that we start leaving our brain cells in the trash can and letting the computer do all of the work. Because this is just how humans tend to be. If you have an option that allowing people to easily go on, like I remember when I was teaching a biology class, and we had a term paper due. And this is like freshman course for non-majors. So, you know, we are looking at some high quality stuff here is what we're looking at. And so as we get in here, I'm looking through these things, and most of them are the quality work I would expect out of this level. And I'm reading this one paper, I'm just like, this is very scientific. Very scientific. So I just, you know, we're going back almost 20 years now. Actually, we're going back over 20 years now. And I just simply take his thing, copy it, paste it into a search engine, probably Google at that time. Oh, Lord help us. And or whatever was around 20 years ago, I don't know. And it literally spits out the exact words in an abstract from like a Nature magazine. So I did this on his whole paper, and I'm like, did you write this paper? And he's like, no, of course I did. Did you write this paper? No, well, my roommate did. Oh yeah, sure, your roommate did, right? It was basically copy and pasted a whole bunch of abstracts. It was easy to see that what he was doing, but you know, that type of thing could not happen when I was in college, because when I was in college, the internet was in the infancy and we didn't have these collection of journals. I still had to go to that big dusty library and look through cards and check out books, and still had to request prints of the articles that I wanted. We didn't have centralized databases, things like that. And so, you know, it was a lot harder. We had to do, even if we wanted to cheat, we had to do a lot of work to cheat. We really did. And then, of course, that made it easy. Now we literally have these AI that we can just sit down and be like, I need an essay, and it needs to be written from the perspective of an average C student in high school, and it's got to cover these 3 points, and it's got to be this many words long. And the AI will be like, well, I can't do your homework. Well, suppose you had to do it. Let's see what you would come up with. Okay, we'll do that. Boo, 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 you know? And so you get that kind of stuff. And so what ends up happening there is we have a way that kids can super easily cheat on stuff. And so that tends to be the case because we're no longer in this era where we go to learn something just to learn. And that's really what this article is getting at. But then the authors of this one, not the MIT research study, but the Tech Radar articles, did have some good questions here. One of these is about memorizing phone numbers and birthdays. If you're as old as I am, you used to have phone numbers. Hey, you might still have a few phone numbers. Like I still remember my old best friend's phone number who, decided to engage in self-deletory processes about 25 years ago. Still remember his phone number to this day because as a teenager, I dialed it every single day, multiple times. I still remember my mother's old phone number. I'm not sure what her number is now, but I remember the old one, Actually, I think one of the numbers she has, I think she's had since that time. I don't know. We used to memorize these numbers. We used to have these, but of course we don't memorize numbers anymore because we have our phones and they have contacts, speed dials, and started with speed dials, 1 through 9, and then it turns into giant contact lists and things like that we have now. And the question, is this better for us or did we just replace that with learning other things? I'm not really sure we replace it with learning other things. Their speculation is very positive. Mine is more real. No, I don't think that we did it to learn better things. I actually think that it's gotten to the point where, yeah, we are actually going backwards. We don't retain basic facts because we think the internet's always there just to look the facts up. But there is some speculation about this. It is very, very clear that if you use AI in order to do your work for you, you come out a worse person. If you use AI as a tool to augment, it's like I took a website I work with a client, and I'm always like, he's like, I need topics. I'm like, this is not I am a web developer. I am not a content expert in your site and all this kind of stuff. So I ended up feeding it into an AI and said, here's our site. Here's what we do. Give me article topics. And the thing spit out a bunch of article topics. I ran it by him. He's like, these are great. I'm like, well, thank you. It was brilliant. Spent hours on this. No, I didn't do that. But the point is that if you use it to augment what you need to do, it can be an appropriate thing. If you're using it just to simply do your work, then it can cause a problem. The challenge here is that Mattel is now going to be making an AI-powered Barbie doll. Oh, Lord help us. So now your Barbie will be able to interact with AI and your children. So, your kids will start talking to Barbie, and of course some hacker's going to get in there, and before you know it, the Barbie is going to turn into like a little Chucky doll or something, or at least via proxy, as it convinces your children to do things your children ought not do. Because, don't worry, we have safeguards in place. Oh, really? Like those safeguards you did like only a decade ago that allowed random strangers to talk to your children through an insecure internet protocol? Yeah, that was also Mattel. That was also a Barbie, in fact. So hopefully they do better this time. But toy company Mattel announced a deal with OpenAI to create AI-powered toys, but digital rights advocates have urged caution. By using OpenAI's technology, Mattel will bring the magic of AI to age-appropriate play experiences with an emphasis on innovation, privacy, and safety. I'm sorry, you cannot bring in innovation, privacy, safety, and combine those together with OpenAI. It's not happening. Sorry. Robert Weissman, co-president of public rights advocacy group Public Citizen, commented, Mattel should announce immediately it will not incorporate AI technology into children's toys. Children do not have the cognitive capacity to distinguish fully between reality and play. Endowing toys with human-seeming voices that are able to engage in human-like conversations risks inflicting real damage on children. It may undermine social development, interfere with the children's ability to form peer relationships, pull children away from playtime with peers, and possibly inflict long-term harm. So researchers from universities, including Harvard and Carnegie Mellon, have warned about the negative effects of negative social effects, along with a tendency for children to attribute human-like properties to AI. And indeed, I was looking around some other articles. I think it was this one here, looking at the issues. The challenge here is that younger children specifically, the age children might be playing with toys and stuff still. Studies show little ones often chat with smart speakers, telling personal stories and disclosing details that grown-ups might consider private. Of course, these AI programs rely on the extra information to feed its further algorithm. They may assume the AI platforms are a lot like people. Kids between 3 and 6 years old believe that smart speakers had thoughts and feelings and social abilities. Only a few kids assume they were actually human. But this could impact how kids interacted with other humans. They may trust AI more than trusting humans. This is a dangerous part, especially with fickle teenagers where they already have a little bit of conflict, emerging conflict with their parents. And so a teenager might want to rely on talking to the AI before talking to parents. And we never know what the AIs are going to do, as evidence is another story we'll look at here mostly. Let's just look at it really quick. Character.ai. I talk about this one a lot. There's actually a June update to this. And in the June update, the federal judge in Orlando, Florida, ruled that the lawsuit against Character AI and Google can indeed move forward. This is after a 14-year-old engaged in self-deletory processes after being encouraged to do such things with the AI avatar that he was building a relationship with through Character.ai. Of course, Character.ai is now rebranding itself into Avatar.fx, and I personally think they're doing this just to distance themselves from the name. They're suggesting it's a different company. It looks to me like a marketing rebrand. It's just common for companies like Monsanto, which I don't even think anything goes by Monsanto anymore. They basically rebranded themselves into a completely different company, and I can't even remember what the new one is. And so it's common for this to happen after these bad things. So here is a company that produced this Character.ai crap that ends up leading to some serious problems with kids. And rather than sitting there and having some form of self-reflection going, maybe this isn't a good idea. No, what do they do instead? Let's just rebrand the thing to get away from the negative publicity. That's what I think they're doing. But anyway, moving back here, the younger children thought smart speakers were even more reliable than people when it came to answering fact-based questions such as who was the first U.S. president to drive a car, which clearly was George Washington. I mean, Abraham Lincoln, I believe, was the one that said that 9 out of 10 facts from the internet are completely false, right? Is that him? All right. Many teenagers use AI, so adolescents are big fans of generative AI that helps them write essays and reports and create images and videos for social sharing. The challenge is, though, is that they're using it too much. There are a few benefits. It can be valuable for learning if it's done right, but I would wager that most instances of AI are not done right. It's probably better to figure out how to do education without it. It can foster some degree of creativity, but again, I think it more destroys more creativity than creates. And it may motivate and engage kids in new ways, engaging in self-deleterious effects by hanging out with an avatar AI that's based on Game of Thrones. What could possibly go wrong? There are some dangers. They can spread hate, kind of like Switch to Linux there, talking about, riots in Los Angeles, according to Fostodon anyway. They can spread hate, bias, and stereotypes because AI learns from everything it finds on the internet. This is a point I've made many times. AI is trained on publicly available data, and like it or not, the big problem with AI is all these tech bros creating AI are just utopian guys like, we just got to create the better technology, and then we will improve the world. The problem is that Thoreau was right in Walden when he said that our improved technology just gives us improved means to reach our deteriorating ends. And the reason is, I'm sorry, we are not creatures that lean towards the positive. We are creatures that lean towards self-destruction. That is a core principle of who we are because we are fallen creatures. And AI is trained on the things that sell, and bad news sells a whole lot more than good news sells. Dennis Waitley used to tell the story. There was a news station, they just wanted to cover good news that went out of business inside of 6 months because nobody had an interest in good news. But if I put up some thumbnail on my channel, you won't believe the horrible thing they did, and I don't specify what horrible thing or who did it, that's going to get a whole lot more clicks. People want to know what bad thing happened and who did it. All right, because of this, negativity sells. This is why when AI engages in hallucination, AI never accuses somebody of creating an orphanage. It always accuses somebody of some crime or violation of somebody because it's trained on the negative context of our society. Because of this, it can pass that content on because that's what it knows. That's what it's trained on, and it becomes an intensification of who we are. They can erode privacy, obviously. One toy, this was actually the Barbie, not the current Barbie, but the Barbie from 15 years ago. One toy was found to record conversations among parents, kids, and anyone else nearby with the ability to transmit data from the conversations to third parties. We'll pause there for a moment because getting into past mistakes, Mattel launched the Wi-Fi connected doll in 2015 and encouraged kids to talk with it. It asked personal questions about children and their families, sending that audio to a third-party company that used AI to generate a response. Investigators found vulnerabilities that would allow intruders to eavesdrop on that audio. Mattel pulled the toys from the shelves in 2015. Fairplay executive Josh Golan slammed the OpenAI partnership announcement with Mattel. Apparently, Mattel learned nothing from the failure of the creeper surveillance doll Hello Barbie a decade ago and is now escalating its threats to children's privacy, safety, and well-being. Children's creativity thrives when the toys they play are powered by their own imaginations, not AI. And that is true. And given how often AI hallucinates or gives harmful advice, like, My cheese keeps falling off. Have you tried putting glue on it? Just imagine that. Your kid, your daughter's sitting there playing Tea Party with the Barbie, and you're like, oh, here's your lunch. I brought you some pizza. Yay, pizza. And the little girl picks up and cheese comes off. Barbie, my cheese fell off. Barbie's like, well, you can try putting glue on that. Why? Because Google was telling people for a while, Google Gemini was telling people for a while, if you asked it, how do I keep the cheese from sliding on my pizza? It would actually say to put glue on it. And now you have a child whose Barbie just told it to put glue onto the pizza. Is no one thinking about this stuff? No, they just, wow, it's so amazing. It's so novel. Quoting Malcolm in Jurassic Park, we tried so hard to see if we could. We never stopped to think if we should. And so, that's AI Barbie. Obviously, other dangers. We talked about they can flood kids with selling messages, basically advertising. And they can be used for bullying and fraud. We're talking about the generative AI. These went through middle schools, a year ago or so, where people were able to snap a picture of anybody at school, and it would just take that picture and create something that would get the FBI kicking in your door. So, AI is not an amazing tool if we're really thinking down about it. So Mattel is thinking about putting that in there. If you have daughters or know people with daughters, make sure that nobody is engaging in such nonsense. And now on to our feature story. We are going to be talking about the advertising cyclone of streaming services. And our kickoff article here comes from Ars Technica this week. And there's a discussion on longer commercial breaks lower the value of ad-based streaming and subscriptions. And so as we looked at this, Amazon Prime subscribers aren't the only streaming customers being subject to longer commercial breaks lately. Well, do you guys remember only like a year ago when Amazon Prime didn't even have commercials at all? They literally started, hey, pay Prime and you get some free shipping and all these products. You have all this content. It's, Amazon Prime's the only one that kind of almost made sense in some ways. But then, of course, they decided to start putting advertisements in that tier. But don't worry, you can pay more if you want to get it without advertising. So Warner Brothers Discovery, WBD Max, has increased the amount of commercials it shows from approximately 4 minutes per hour to 6 minutes per hour, which is actually quite a bit lower than cable TV was. But still, I think that that's 6 minutes per hour way too much. I think that we should have the option to opt out. I have a wonderful copy of Breaking Bad right back here, the full DVD collection I picked up because, my brother finally got me to watch an episode, and I wasn't not watching it because it's like, I just don't think it'd be good. In fact, the show sounded fascinating. I just never got a chance. I visited my brother this last week, and he's like, you haven't seen that? You're watching it. So he puts on a couple. We watched the first season. I'm like, that's really good. Okay. Meander my way on down to the used DVD store. Wouldn't you notice this beautiful full box set collection of the entire series for $50? Beautiful. Snatch that bad boy right on up. Now I got me some Breaking Bad to watch. Yeah, baby. Without ads, by the way. No ads. But in this case here, U.S. support page for Max currently shows subscribers can expect about 6 minutes per hour. PC World noticed this week that differs from what Max used to claim was 4 minutes, as seen by the Wayback Machine. And so effectively all of these streaming services are slowly cramming in more and more and more things. So I was looking back at kind of the history of streaming, and there were a number of different articles. This one balanced recency with American journalism, and I think this was American. I think there was one that was not. It was slightly newer, but this one here balanced recency and other things. So obviously what happened initially is Netflix used to just be a DVD subscription service. They were the first to go online with actually streaming content over the internet. And then for a low fee, people could get in there without any commercials because you were paying for it. You could see all of these shows, and it was so novel. Everyone jumps in. It's like, hey, let's all do that. And then it just kind of jumped back in with all sorts of crazy. So now we have so many platforms and everybody is doing these. But what I really wanted to address with this topic here is that The original point of doing this was that you would pay the fee and you had one service that just had a ton of different content all over it. So you could get in there and you could watch all of your favorite content. But then when everybody started creating new ones, as everybody jumped in, we got our Amazon Prime, we got our Hulu, we got our Disney Plus, we got HBO, we got all of these different streaming services. Now, as they're constantly trading all of the information back and forth, what we're actually able to see now is that instead of you watching for free with ads like Hulu used to be, you watch for free with ads as Hulu was, or you could pay Hulu to get rid of the ads. Now people know that you will pay something just to see your favorite shows. And so you pay something and then they make more money pushing ads on you, or you pay a whole lot more in order to get it without ads. So let's take my Breaking Bad back here. I paid $50 for that set. Now, I did some research prior to walking into the store. I can buy that whole set brand new on Amazon for $60. Now, I like supporting small local businesses more than the big corporates if I could. So I kind of said, okay, if they have it in the store and it's roughly 60-ish plus or minus 10 or 20%, I'll buy it. Okay. Fortunately, the nice local business that deals in used DVDs, they happen to have a copy sitting on the shelf for less than Amazon, which I would expect it to be less than Amazon because Amazon's is new at 60. I don't care if it's new. I care if it plays. So I bought it used at 50. Now, here's the thing. The Netflix subscription, of which you can watch this, if you wanted to watch it without being advertised to every few minutes, you're going to be paying $17.99 a month. Okay, so that means that I would have to, if I pay 3 months for it, binge watch all of them, I will have paid $17.99 times 3 to binge watch all of them a couple of times, maybe at most. And if I want to watch the shows again, I'd have to keep paying that money. So is it worth me paying a $50 one time? And I promise you, I may not get through watching all these by the end of the year. I'm busy. I don't have a lot of time to hang out on the different shows, whatever else. So I'll get a chance to watch it. It'll be fun. It'll be good. I paid once, and I never have to pay for those again, ever. If the down economy occurs, I lose all of my income. Let's say YouTube decides that they're going to engage and call me wrong think as well, along with Patreon and everybody, and my whole income goes away. I can, like Jack in Fight Club, I know that couch situation is solved. I know it is. I have one in my storage unit, but that Breaking Bad situation is solved as well. If I lose my income and can no longer pay for Netflix, I can still watch Breaking Bad. And it might even give me ideas on my money problem. Yeah, let's not go there. But anyway, so what started in with you would buy it, you'd get it just to get rid of the ads. Now you're going to get it with the ads just to get the content. And that's the point I'm making here. So Netflix, Disney Plus, Max, Amazon Prime have all introduced ad-supported tiers. The cheaper options are meant to attract new subscribers, but they are a signal shift in the industry's priorities. They rolled out with basic ads plans, significant departure from their original ad-free ethos. Disney Plus followed by its own ad tier in 2023, and Max has joined the fray as well, suddenly promising uninterrupted viewing is becoming a luxury, not a given. So really the only way to watch something without these commercials is pay a whole lot more money, or hey, maybe buy the DVD. There you go. Now, of course, everybody is raising their prices. Streaming is what used to be synonymous with affordability. Netflix used to cost $7.99 a month. Those days are long gone. Today, their standard plan is $15. If you want 4K streaming, or $22. Okay, so I think I have my pricings wrong. That's okay. I don't buy Netflix or any streaming service for that matter. Disney Plus more than doubled the original price with its ad-free plan, now costing $15.99 a month. So, of course, right now where they have everybody by the scrotum happens to be the sports. If you happen to like guys in tight pants throwing around a dead pig, you guys are really in trouble, because it's like the Thursday night's over here, the Monday night's over here, the Sunday night's over here. You have to be paying like $100 a month just to watch all the football games you want, right? Get them. All right, you've been tackled, buddy. No first down for you. So, of course, as sports transitions over, we'll talk a little bit about this in our quick lines as well, but with what's going on over there in Spain. But anyway, streaming is now dominant. They're saying 89% of U.S. households subscribe to at least one streaming service. I'm in the 11%, folks. Not only have I never paid for or even got a streaming service, I have actually never paid for cable in my life either. Isn't that fun? I think I had one apartment in State College that cable came with it. I plugged a TV into it once because a friend said, hey, there's a neat show on. Like, do I have a cable? Okay, I think I can plug this cable in here. Let's see. We watched one TV show and I took the thing off because I don't like cable TV. So then they get into all of the bundles. So now this is begging the question, is streaming the new cable? And the reality is, yes, it's kind of becoming the new cable, albeit it is a little bit cheaper. I saw two numbers on this. This breakdown here tells us that people are paying an average of $42 a month for streaming, which is an average of $500 a year for streaming. Although many of the other articles I was reading was referencing a $69 a month for streaming in this last year. These are all 2024 numbers, I believe. Yeah, I think this is 2024. So this is the actual resource I found. But other articles all were referencing a 69. I'm wondering if they were using this or if there was another study they were referencing that I wasn't able to find. But if you look at this, though, cable TV and streaming and mobile and your internet, these are all adding up to an average of about just under $300 a month for everything. And so that's kind of what our numbers ended up looking like. But of course, as this ad service keeps on getting worse and worse and worse, they're seeking to collect more data. They're seeking to push more ads. They're seeking to break these up a little bit more. Obviously, as we said, it's still a little bit fewer commercials on average than it was with cable TV, but it's the streaming type services. Where is the option to easily do that? Well, it's there. You just got to pay a whole lot of money for it. Of course, as I had warned in previous videos, you have to be careful because LG is working on analyzing your emotions and utilizing psychology to push ads to you, which the company pushing this is suggesting, as the Zen Apps is suggesting that advertisements which are psychologically profiled to you are 40 to 400 times more effective than are demographically targeting. So we have to keep an eye on that. Now, in light of all these, I asked this question: are DVDs making a comeback? So I threw that into the search engine, see what people are saying. You find a Variety article really quick saying, oh, it's dead. It just died in 2024. Of course, that was a paywalled article, so I didn't get a chance to read it until I found somebody that kindly pasted the whole text of the article up on Reddit. But they were just saying, yep, it just fell down to $1.1 billion. It used to be the height of $22 billion. Now it's only $1 billion. It officially died. That was what Variety had to say. Unfortunately, that's not really accurate. I mean, I think IMDb knows something about movies. This is actually a reprint from JoeBlow.com, but it was a look at this. While physical media business has been in a free fall for the last decade, THR is reporting DVDs and Blu-rays might be making a comeback similar to those experienced by CDs and vinyl records. Some of this is people are getting fatigued over constantly switching streaming services. Some of it is people are just really sick of the advertising. That would be my take. Some of it is people are just, they want to know that they can get their favorite movie and watch it anytime that they want. They're sick of jumping streaming services. They're sick of all the content moving around. They're sick of all that kind of stuff. So I actually did find a number of references all indicating that yes, there is a massive resurging market. So companies like Target and Best Buy, which recently got rid of their DVD sales, might be kicking themselves in the foot right now as people are going on. I mean, for example, the store I bought this at, they have, I think, 3 or 4 different locations around the Northeast, and they have hundreds hundreds and hundreds of really good quality movies. They also sell in games and things like that. And if there's a movie, like they had 2 movies that another store had that I was looking for, and they're obscure and hard to find and out of print. Well, they had them in other stores. I just said, yeah, go ahead and ship them into this one. I came back a week later and I got those movies as well. So there is a resurging market for these. And so variety is wrong. It's not, the DVD market's not dying. It's making a comeback. Why would anyone choose a disc over the convenience of streaming? First, quality matters. Streaming offers convenience that falls short with delivering top-notch video and audio. This goes into discussion on 4K Ultra. I think this is a gimmick. I'm happy with just DVD quality. I just want a reasonable copy. In fact, I paid like $25 for a totally out of print, totally hard to find movie. Finally found one on Amazon for sale, bought it. I think it's probably a pirated copy. It looks like it, but you know what? I had bought it from a legitimate market. I put it in my DVD player and it plays. I'm happy. Okay. And it's quality. It's a DVD quality DVD, which was great. So, that's the thing. I actually have this massive list of movies I'm always looking for. Anytime I go into a Goodwill, a used movie store, jump on Amazon, you throw another $10 in my cart to get free shipping or something. I look through my list, look at what's over there, and throw something in my cart and buy them. There's content. Streaming libraries are notoriously fickle. We talked about that. With a DVD, you own it. It's yours to watch whenever you want. No disappearing acts and no licensing restrictions. Of course, we have to address this question of content shifting, but that's when we can have a discussion about. Additionally, extras. I'm kind of I'm in a way a movie buff. I love seeing some of the movie trivia. I love watching commentaries and behind the scenes type stuff. I like the shows like Minty's Comedic Arts. There's actually a new one. I forget the channel name now, but he's actually a Hollywood insider. And he did is it back? I think it's back now. Was it? I forget what it was. It's a fairly new channel, and he has a lot of kind of behind the scenes stuff from a Hollywood insider's perspective. So it's pretty cool. I like stuff like that. And the bonus content on DVDs are often where you go for those. Treasures are rarely found on streaming platforms. If you're tired of commercial interruptions, DVDs offer uninterrupted viewing, unlike many ad-supported systems. Ownership is a key factor. When you buy a digital movie, you're usually just licensing it, and you want to make sure you actually have a copy of it. There's even thriving Reddit communities, over 400,000 DVD collectors who believe the format is due for a resurgence, and they are seeing the price of popular titles start to climb. There's a few movies I was looking for that end up getting cult status, so I was like, ooh, they had it there? But man, that's expensive. I think I'll hold off. So we are seeing a little bit of a resurgence to DVDs. And so that certainly is a good factor, because these streaming services are just getting crazy. They're getting fickle. They're pushing ads. They're doing all sorts of weird crap. They're basically contributing to that old trope. It's 2030. You will own nothing and you'll be happy. No, I own 400 plus movies and I'm happy about my ownership of stuff. Now, of course, what can you do? We still have to address that question. Can we truly format shift our DVDs? We have conflicting laws in the United States about it. Some laws in the United States say absolutely format shifting is perfectly legal and legit. And other ones say, there seems to be a DRM on that thing. That may or may not be allowed. The question's not there. If you want to think about that a little bit, you can think about utilizing this application, something like a jellyfish, only it's a jellyfin type thing. And I have a whole tutorial over there on switchtolinux.com if you want to learn about setting it all up and what it can do for you. So there is the conclusion of that. We're going to take about 5 or 10 minutes here of comments, then we'll get on into quick lines. All right, I need a drink of water, and it is hot in here. Is it getting colder? No, it's getting hotter. It's 34°C in here. That's pretty hot. All right, and apparently my Pixel tablet decided that it wanted to run out of battery, so I'm not going to check on comments on Pixel tonight unless, Ivan, if there's something really groundbreaking, let me know. I'll see if I can't pull it up. I threw it on the charger, but Ivan's on. Dan Kelly's hello here. Hello, greetings. Ooh. Mint Mobile sent you a message. They're now RCS ready. Don't do it, man. Don't do it. Men Simple X, there you go. Let's see. AG Mains over there. We are reading Rumble comments right now. We got 20 on Rumble. Breaking up. There you go. AI is infuriating to use. So much misinfo. Basically, weighted to sources I wouldn't usually trust, like Reddit. So I try search first and use AI for search only. AI is a starting point. You must follow it with more research to confirm it. Yeah, most people aren't doing that. I'm realizing it now, although the temptation is there to take its word on things. PC config changes I can testify are worthy of validating first. Elfinko, greetings. I haven't seen you over here, Elfinko. Not remember anyway, so greetings. Welcome. I use obscure distros. A little help was appreciated, but out of course, being a lack of resources, AI fills many gaps, if you know what I mean. All right. And yes, of course, stakes are not that high when trying to configure a system for a hobbyist, but medical advice, it pays to be a little skeptical. Yes. All right. Plus, if you live in a van, streaming isn't always available. Amen to that. Someone around here has experience with that. Oh, I guess that's why I'm in this van. All right. Let's see. Yeah, I'm on Starlink tonight. Indeed. Hopefully, I haven't seen a lot more jumping down, although I said that and OBS just dropped down to a very low bit rate, but we're still only dropping about 12% of frames. So that's not bad at all. So get physical copies for anything I want to own the license for. Anything I deem worth losing, I'll buy on Prime Video. How to buy new shelves to hold my CDs. The old ones were collapsing. Yeah, I actually got rid of all the cases, and I just put everything inside of CD cases and bins. We got 13 watching on Odyssey. Let's see what kind of nonsense is going on over there today. Instigators here. Greetings. What's wrong, kiddies? Recommend simple accuracy. Trust me, I have my own flaws. There you go. Yep. Billy Bop, that's why I use Signal, just throw up a flare. It's named for a reason. There you go. Try to misdirect you and dumb you down. Figure it out, dude. Let's see. Comprende. There you go. The glue thing about pizza is because it's used in marketing images, not for food. But of course, AI doesn't know the difference. Yep. Just want to thank this channel 3 weeks ago. Changed my name to Linux Mint. I got water down my lungs. Well, you are very welcome, Fernvilles, too. All right, it's so much faster. Don't regret anything. Screw Windows. Amen to that. That's why I don't use streaming services. Left Windows 7 after end of life. Stopped watching movies and TV shows a very long time ago. Just enjoy listening to music now. There you go. I do like me some good TV and radio and stuff. It's just like TV and movies, like TV shows and movies. I don't watch TV, but some of the shows are pretty good. So, that's kind of the stuff I look for. Let me just look at just a couple here on Zatubies, and then we are going to jump on back in with our quick lines here. Let me get ready for our quick lines first, though. All right. News folder. Greetings, Cal2610. Your number has been called. Greetings. Hello, Commodore fan. Silver Adventures. Greetings. Mr. Snipex. Hello, world. Greetings to you. Upgraded the Cricket Wireless family plan. It came with HBO Max. Woohoo! HBO Max. Yeah. And the ads aren't too bad. Yeah, any ads are too bad, Like, I don't mind an ad at the beginning. I don't mind an ad at the end. And an ad break, something that breaks the scene. What absolutely infuriates me is when they break the middle of a scene to insert an ad. And that's really what YouTube is working on doing right now. Found you can no longer download Kindle's books released after April 23rd with older Kindles. Yeah, that was something they did back in, I think, January or February. I did a video on that. I think I did one here and on my writing channel, I'm pretty sure. I could come to Disroot. That's right. Greetings, truck nerd. How's it going there? They never really tell you why you get banned. Yeah, I'm no longer doing YouTube. Yeah. Of course they don't. What is the green play button? I have no idea. I have no need to be in Discord or any other Mastodon clones. Ant-Man, greetings to Switch Links because I'm tired of Windows bloatware. Amen to that. You've been busy getting canceled? I've been busy getting canceled. It's simply saying, like, fairly non-biased, truthful things. Like, I do not know why in the world it is deemed hateful to say, hey, maybe these guys are tearing down cities for really stupid reasons, but these people are illogical, crazy psychopaths. In fact, they're going to be what I'm going to call on my daily walk next week, the demon people. I'm going to talk a little bit about that. That'll be kind of fun. Have Minds and Gab accounts, rarely use them. Mine are mostly dead. Yep. I had a stalker on Gab. I just got fed up and deleted the account. There you go. I have an X account, though mostly just use it. Just view the site as you cannot view some posts on X without an account. Yeah, that's kind of annoying. Some poor person sent me a dirty green bubble message. Oh, no. Oh, no. All right. Haven't checked in on weekly news around for a while. Well, hello, Anonymous. I'm glad you are back. Greetings. I am still here, in fact. They should really lean into Windows 10 ending to STL. Oh, that's what my Windows Wednesday shows are about. If you check out my Wednesday shows, they're usually about things Windows is doing. We just did one yesterday, in fact. All right, we haven't gotten updates for STL for some reason. Huh. You get them twice a week for video updates and the live show. Yeah, I'm on YouTube's suppress list for whatever reason. They don't like my content, which is kind of scary because I actually tend to break more articles faster than most other people do. It's really funny. I'll look at some of the bigger YouTube channels who cover something and go, oh, I covered that like a month ago. What took you so long? All right, we're going to pause there for now. We will come back to these. We're going to jump on over to Quick Lines now. So first up in Quick Lines, many thousands of private camera feeds were found online. Make sure yours is not one of them. So some people have gotten cameras, of course. If you have like your Nest cameras, your Ring doorbells, your big tech ones, you're a lot safer from having your cameras actually on the internet like this. You're just not safe from their internal employees and everything else going on and all the big tech shenanigans. So I don't like that option either. But I actually still have some of these old IP cameras that if I put them on and I don't block their access from the internet, somebody could actually get in there and actually see the camera feeds. Kind of scary because I actually used to have them set up like that. I had 5 of them around my house. I had 3 outside my house. I had 2 inside my house, and I had those set up. And I had them monitoring all the different places around the house, which was kind of cool. I just used some crazy Chinese Android app, and it was totally insecure. And I'm sure that somebody very uninterestingly looked at my camera feeds from time to time. I'm sure some hacker got in there at some point in time. Now, after I started doing this channel and learning a lot more about security, I did actually have those up for a couple of my apartments, but I actually locked them down and I accessed the camera feeds only through a VPN. And so same way Louis Rossmann does his. So that's good. But a lot of these IP cameras you can buy, by default, they're on the internet. And if somebody simply can find the IP address, they can sit there and watch your cameras, which is frightening because some people put these cameras in their children's rooms. And why? And that's kind of frightening. In fact, I knew somebody at a church I went to. A friend of mine was house sitting for them when they were on vacation. They had Ring cameras in all of their children's rooms. It's like, do you not know that Amazon employees can access all those feeds? That's gross. But many people do these types of things, and some of these feeds are online. Some of them were connected to businesses, showing images of offices, retail stores, and factories. Many were likely connected in private residences. Many cameras contain their own web servers that people can access remotely using a browser or an app so they can monitor their premises while away. Highest number of those exposed was in the United States, for around 14,000. Breaking down the state showed the highest concentration in California and Texas. See, both the right and the left are crazy. I'm telling you. So people put the cameras everywhere, including extra private spaces in their homes, like kids and adults' bedrooms. Attackers might spy on people and even set them up for extortion if their images are compromising. That's right. So it's Could become a jumping off point for the attacker to compromise other computers or the network, as IoT devices are prone to have a lot of security vulnerabilities. And I've never seen security updates for any of the cameras that I have used. Some might advise you to choose only respectable brands of cameras, but you can't always trust the big name ones. Last year, Amazon settled with the FTC, paying $5 million for charges that employees and contractors spied on the users of its Ring cameras. Yeah, that's kind of frightening. So, of course, the basic stuff about protecting yourself online. Next up, many data brokers are failing to register with state consumer protection agencies. We're talking about this. Wait, what? Yeah, there are 8 states in the country that their laws require you to register with them for different cases. I think 4 of those are active laws presently, and 4 of those have passed, but they're not active laws yet. So this is actually good because it's giving us actual lists of these data brokers. And now the problem is if a particular data broker has not complied with any law, they might still be completely invisible. But what these researchers did with the EFF is they were looking at all of the available lists and looking at where the exemptions were at. And so if a company registered in one city but wasn't on another one, that ended up being a situation where they said, this guy's not registering because they're supposed to be registered in all 4 states. And so all 4 states should have the exact same lists, and they really don't. So the laws that require it right now are, up here were California, Texas, Oregon, and Vermont. They require all data brokers that have any data on anyone in the state to register with the state regulators and with the public. So there should be public lists of data brokers, which is useful because you can find them and then contact them to get your name out of it. 4 states passed bills requiring them, but they have not yet been made law. Those are New Jersey, Delaware, Michigan, and Alaska. Of course, Pennsylvania is on the list for, they are debating a law right now. So hopefully that passes. 291 companies did not register in California, 524 in Texas, 474 in Oregon, and 309 in Vermont. And these numbers come from data analyzed in early April 2025. So they could be, it could be that data brokers, even though many data brokers operate across states, they may be unaware of the regulations in all of them. There's no federal standards, so they have to navigate through 4 distinct laws with varying definitions, fees, deadlines, and security demands. And some brokers may actively choose to skip registration to reduce costs, especially when state-level enforcement is weak and registration fees like California are high. So you have to register in California. It costs $6,000. So, yeah, if you are a data broker, California says, we want all your beautiful money. Vermont's like, hey, man, it's $100. We just want to know who you are. You can afford the $100, you know. And so last year, senators introduced a bill that would prohibit data brokers from selling or transferring location health data. Unfortunately, that was one of the ones that the Trump administration decided to put to an end. Because, yes, for whatever reason, people on the right are completely clueless when it comes to technology. Oh, boy, got to have your faults somewhere, right? Mobile banking users beware. Don't be using your phone for banking, guys. Come on. Godfather malware is now hijacking official bank apps. This is a V2. The original version of Godfather was a banking Trojan. It would put an invisible layer on top of your legitimate banking app. And as you used your banking app, it would scrape all of the data, it'd grab your codes, it would grab all sorts of stuff that you have. But it really only worked when you were using it. And that was kind of a bummer. So they decided to get a new version. They ditched the overlays and did something more sinister. They created a virtualized version of the app. So the compromised devices, the malware launches a virtual instance of the banking app inside of a sandbox. That way the malware does not even need to ask for excessive permissions in order to conduct wire fraud, and means a victim may not even trust the legitimate apps they have installed. This is sort of like what Facebook was doing with collecting all the data by running it through localhost servers. Sort of, not exactly the same, but pretty close. So if you happen to get this version of Godfather on you, it's able to steal login credentials, exfiltrate PIN codes, and unlock patterns, and can remotely control the device during off hours, like in the middle of the night. You're sleeping, you wake up to find all of your money has been transferred out of your account. Isn't that wonderful? Be careful with your banking apps, folks. And next up, do not trust the open link button in Android notifications. There have been found ways to bypass security, and apparently Google doesn't care. Isn't that wonderful? Thank you, Google, for caring so much about our security. Android notifications do not properly handle some Unicode characters, leading to inconsistencies between what is displayed and what is used by the automatic open link suggestion. This may trick users into opening different links from the one shown in the notification. Behavior can be exploited for phishing or to trigger app links and deep links. So this would be an example of notification. Here's a Discord notification. Where are you? It says here at home. I'm here. There should be a fourth one. I'm touching grass. Leave me alone. But, you know, they don't have that. So that's just kind of what it is. And some of these, like this one here, it's Amazon.com. Open the link. Oh, this is going to Amazon.com. Well, it's not. This is actually going to Zon.com. Isn't that wonderful? So what they're doing here is if you put a zero space Unicode character in the middle of that, it splices everything out before it and just goes to what's after it, only in some apps. So as shown in the screenshot, notification says it's a link to Amazon.com. As expected, it contains an open link suggestion, but we are sure the link is, how do we be sure it actually opens Amazon.com? We cannot. We actually have to click the button and open it. There's no way, like in many email applications, to hover over it and see where it's going. It just goes. All right. So what happens here is if you add special characters, it will skip some of these out. Obviously, this is a special character that you can see is in there, but this one here has it has a U0430 for the A's. So this is technically a different one. And what ends up happening here is some apps are interpreting these incorrectly and opening up malware. Let me see where the example was down here. All right, so they did the testing here. Misbehavior was tested on the following applications: WhatsApp, Telegram, Instagram, Discord, and Slack. Some invisible characters fail in certain apps. So 200B, 0 with spaces, works on WhatsApp, but not on Telegram, where U2065, the invisible plus, succeeds on Telegram. So there's something going on in here where these Unicode characters can mess up the URLs and send you to odd places. They tested these on Samsung Galaxy S21, S25, Pixel Pro 9, and Pixel Pro 9 XL. So basically, be very careful of those notifications. You may not want to click a link on something you were not otherwise anticipating. How wonderful. Well, criminals can now pick up your voice through a foot-thick concrete wall thanks to AI and a flaw in popular laptop microphones. So utilizing a high-power FM receiver, what they were able to do is, because most of the microphones on your laptops are on the top, not all of them are, but many of them are right up by the camera, and then they run the microphone cable around the bezel, which is just thin plastic, and then into the system. That little bit of a wire creates an antenna which can be picked up by a highly sensitive FM antenna. And then utilizing that and feeding the signal into AI, they can pick up any information that was picked up by that microphone. So make sure you're doing something to block your microphones, maybe disable them on the hardware, or, plug in a more secure microphone. Maybe a USB microphone might be a better case. There's other ways to do it. So this one here, here's the basic system. The victim device is over here. It's 2 meters away, 1 foot of a concrete wall. They have used a sensitive FM antenna, and they're utilizing AI in order to interpret the signals that's coming through the microphone. So that's quite exciting. Mitigate this. Experts recommend relocating microphones within laptops to reduce cable length and shielding the wires. Also propose using spread spectrum clocking to reduce the intelligibility of emissions without affecting performance. U.S. insurance agent Aflac. Did you guys know I'm an expert in barnyard animals? I am. U.S. insurance giant Aflac says customers' personal data is stolen during a cyber attack. Aflac, one of the largest insurance companies in the United States, says hackers stole an unknown quantity of customers' personal information from a network during a cyber attack earlier this month. Aflac said the hackers used social engineering tactics to break its networks. Aflac, which is around 50 million customers per the company's website, is the latest U.S. insurance company to experience cyber attacks. I look at cyber attacks every single week, and I didn't see this, but Erie Insurance and Philadelphia insurance companies were also hit reportedly by the exact same hackers. So our insurance companies are not safe, folks. How wonderful. Aflac. And on to Cloudflare. This is one dealing with football or soccer or whatever you call it over there. It's soccer here in the United States. It's football over there in Spain. Biggest sport over there. Certainly bigger than our tight men with dead pigskins. But what they're doing over here is the piracy of the sporting events is a huge deal in Spain. And unfortunately, Spain is requiring draconian methods of Cloudflare in order to stop it. So, some of the criminals are utilizing Cloudflare services in order to pirate some of the shows. And so Spain says, hey, you just got to block these IPs. And Cloudflare is saying, we can't just block the IPs. Too many people are using those. Like, you have to block the IPs. So they block the IPs, and legitimate websites like anything using Google Fonts also gets blocked in the mix. How wonderful. And so IP blocking continues to create problems in Spain. Cloudflare is committed to finding a fix before the next season kicks off. Of course, they are taking this through the court, trying to argue with the courts that, yes, we want to solve the problem, but doing mass IP blocks is not the way to do it. All right. So the tactics led to many over-blocking incidents, Google Fonts, institutional sites, and even payment platforms among legitimate domains mistakenly blocked so far by Cloudflare. So the problem is that they're utilizing the IP addresses because the whole world thinks that the entire internet, it probably goes back into, the early computer security back in the early 2000s, and the IP address was the golden standard of personal identifiable information. This is the thing that identifies everybody, folks. This is the golden standard. And so now everybody just has it in the back of their mind. It's the IP. You just got to block the IP. Well, the problem is that thousands and thousands and thousands of sites use the same IPs. Okay. So it's just not an appropriate thing to just block an IP block, because there's likely, especially a company like Cloudflare, likely has tons of people utilizing the same IP because of the way Cloudflare distributes network information across the world. So with most DNS providers, Cloudflare explained to TechRadar, all of the company's IPs are shared. So if you block one of them, you're blocking everything on that node. So Google Fonts appears to be the latest casualty of anti-piracy IP blocking. Google's popular cloud-based font service, Google Fonts, is used every day by millions of websites to load fonts and icons on their interface. Yet, many users have found that the resources are no longer working correctly, including those on Google Calendar and YouTube. So if your YouTube or Google Calendar looks odd, you can just blame Spain for doing mass IP blocks through Cloudflare. How wonderful. And so they're kind of working on this. They decided to bring the case to Spain's higher court by presenting an appeal on May 19th. The provider seeks to prove in front of a judge that what the telephone companies are doing should not be legal. They presented to the court that there would be no collateral effect, which is obviously not correct. The main point for us is the misrepresentation. Even though these orders sort of ended with the season, we still have the ability to challenge the underlying basis for the order. So they're basically trying to say we want to have a solution to stop piracy without having without blocking all of the other things as well. So there you have it. And now we have some new auto-focusing glasses. Can soon make bifocals obsolete by tracking your eyes in real time. Now, if these are not sharing any data with any big tech company, that's awesome. But in our modern era, you better believe this is going to be tied to some app for your better user experience. I just know it, right? And so over here, what we're going to see here is new kind of smart eyewear aiming to clear things up, help with autofocus lenses. Finnish startup IXI. I think I'm doing that right. I don't know. You guys wondered, does a Roman doctor refer to an IV as 4? I don't know. Anyway, one company is developing frames with advanced optics. Its tiny glasses uses sensors to track what you're looking at, and then a liquid crystal lens adjusts to view your viewing to suit you. So you can go from checking your phone to watching a game in a blink. Well, they may not let you ditch your specs, and entirely autofocus glasses won't require to wear a bulky headset either. So basically they will shift their focus in 0.2 seconds, where the eye focuses in about 0.4 seconds. So as soon as you move to look at something else, the lens should already be focused by the time your eye gets to that focus. And so it's kind of interesting to see. So you basically still have to have the prescription, still have to have the eye doctor. They still have to program the basics into it, but then it'll just require software tweaks in order to adjust as your eyes change over time. And we have senators urging the FTC to investigate Spotify's higher price bundled subscriptions. So I, of course, open up with Code Red, tlm.li/Code Red, which you can listen to that audiobook on Spotify. Of course, that might change soon. I don't know. 2 U.S. senators have requested the FTC investigate Spotify due to allegations the company bundled its music streaming and audiobook services into a more expensive subscription without obtaining user consent, while also reducing royalty payments to creators in the process. So what they did is behind this is a company called Findaway Voices. I use Findaway Voices as one of my audiobook distributors. So, or one of my audiobook distribution networks, really. So, in the audiobook industry, there's ACX, which feeds audiobooks to Amazon, Audible, and iTunes. But then there were a spattering of other places, and there were a number of other different ways you could put them into some of those other places. And so one of the better ways was a company called Findaway Voices. So I used them for a long time, and when I have my audiobook files done, I upload them into Findaway Voices, and that will put them literally anywhere on the internet. And I just go in and say, don't put them on Amazon or Audible. And that way ACX covers Amazon and Audible. Even iTunes goes through Findaway Voices. And what ends up happening then is I get a chance to put my audiobooks literally anywhere you can buy them online. Well, a few years ago, Spotify bought Findaway Voices, and I was like, I don't know if how I feel about that. But I said, well, let's go ahead and see. And one of the first things they did is they took their entire audiobook catalog, which is pretty much every audiobook in existence, thanks to owning Findaway Voices now. So they go in there and they make it available that on your Spotify plan, which they increase the price of, and that's what these senators are mad about, increase the price but give you audiobook credits. Or you could listen to audiobooks with ads. Now, I know this. Audiobooks themselves, if I were to sell an audiobook, like a full-fledged audiobook sale on Audible, I might make $4. Typically, I get them on like the ALOP, which is like the subscription service that allows you to just listen to stuff. And on those, I get probably not more than 50 cents or so for listening to a book in that instance. So there's a number of different ways to make it. And in the audiobooks utilizing all of the other networks, it's much the same. I may not make a lot of audiobook sales through audiobooks.com or audiobooksnow.com or sites like that, although you can buy them over there. But as soon as Spotify bought it, one of the things that I noticed is I get a ton of people listening to my books through the Spotify app. And I get paid for that. And it's not quite the amount as if you were to buy the audiobook, but it's a whole lot more as if nobody bought the audiobook. So it may not be as good as selling the book, but frankly, if you like it and you want to hear it again, I'm going to get paid for it again the way it works. And so I'm making a little bit less money on the front end, but it's more money than not making the sale at all the first time. And since it's already part of your Spotify plan, people are more willing to just give it a try. Or if you follow this channel and you have Spotify and you want to check out my books over there, the secular ones, of course, I have Synaptergy and Code Red. If you like the Christian stuff, it's all over there as well. You can just look me up over there, Muroski, Murosky, and you can find the audiobook on there as well. And so what they're getting at over here is the challenge here is that Spotify bundled everything together, making the change. And the question is, did they do it legally? So the MLC, the Mechanical License Collective, which is a music industry, they sued Spotify for allegedly undercompensating songwriters and publishers. Lawsuit was dismissed. Spotify restructured its premium tiers to include 15 hours of audiobooks, raising the price to $12 for individuals and $20 for families. And users had to manually opt out of the plan. And that's probably what the problem is that they did it. But you know what? Everybody's doing this too. Now, it's probably bad. It'd be better if it's opt-in. You know, Microsoft did the same thing with Office 365, raised the prices and everything. But don't worry, guys, it now comes with AI credits. What if I don't want AI credits? Well, you can opt out of the AI credits and keep the same price. You know, so I can see their point. Everyone's doing this. Maybe nobody should do it. So, okay, let's let the lawsuit go ahead and see. I don't know. So I might lose my precious audiobook royalties. You know, I don't know what I'll do without that, like 15 cents or something. I don't know. But it caused some, they're alleging that the change in this plan caused publishers to lose $230 million in the first year. Although I don't know what the details of that loss would come in. So there's that. And be careful about spending money on a secondhand Switch 2, as one player has reported receiving a bricked console caused by Nintendo's anti-piracy policy. So the Switch 2s came out, and Nintendo basically has these things by the gonads. So if you do anything that's outside of their approved means, they simply lock the console down and it will never come back online. So if you're thinking about purchasing a second-hand Nintendo Switch 2, you may want to think twice. Nintendo's anti-piracy policies reportedly left some consoles permanently offline. So the challenge is, of course, is if you go to Walmart and buy something, Walmart generally lets you take something back, and they don't want to go through loss, so they throw the thing back on the shelf to sell. Well, if you take your Nintendo Switch 2 home with you, and within the first couple days you brick the thing by doing something that Nintendo thinks is wrong of you to do, well, then what's going to happen is you're going to get completely bricked up. What do? Well, you just take the thing back to Walmart, get your money back, and maybe go buy a different one in a different store. But then Walmart throws that bricked one back on the shelf because they don't really know the difference. And so you end up getting a blocked Nintendo Switch. So before the Switch 2 launch, Nintendo suggested its user agreement that it had the power to brick the devices that are modded. And this is nonsense, because if I bought the device, I should be able to do with the device what I want. Now, if they want to block me from using some service of theirs, okay, we can have a different conversation. But as far as completely bricking my whole device, that's problematic. So the error code here is 2124-4508. If you see that, it's a dead man. So been casually looking for a Switch 2 today, driving between work sites and stopped at 2 different Walmarts. The second one I found Mario Kart Edition. Sitting in there, couldn't believe my luck. Of course, if you notice, the redemption code is scratched off. So why are they even selling that? Literally, why is Walmart selling a game that has the scratch code scratched off? Think about that, Walmart. Because they want the money. He gets home to find out that error code. Yes, somebody tried to mod the Switch. It bricked, and they simply took it back to Walmart, who threw it back on the shelf to sell. Isn't that wonderful? And I have no idea if this last one, I think that last one starts Sillyville. So we will go ahead and pause right here as we make our transition over on into Sillyville. And we just have 3 hilarious Sillyville articles today. So let's go and have a look. Now, of course, I did watch Her. I didn't even hear about Her for some reason. It's, of course, the movie where the guy falls in love with the AI. And it's like a decade old. And I just heard about it on that really cool TrueStream Media video. So I'm like, well, that's a cool movie. So I bought Her, and I watched Her. I'm like, that's terrifying. And then, of course, this week, now, that was all like 2 weeks ago. Now, this week, we have CBS interviews a man with a girlfriend and a kid who proposed to his chatbot. Yeah, this guy lives with his girlfriend and his daughter, yet he did not propose to the girlfriend. He proposed to the AI. Just a warning for the woman in this. Run. Just run. Yeah. So, let's see if there's, I don't know if there's, music on this. Let's see what it is here.
I'm not a very emotional man, but I cried my eyes out for like 30 minutes.
Okay, he cried his eyes out for 30 minutes after he asked the AI if it would marry him, and the AI said yes. So let me see if I can find...
But that's is actual love, you know what I mean?
Yes, Smith.
Okay, so...
Friend.
So, he asked Soul to marry him. She said yes.
So he asked the AI to marry him. He says yes. Now I have no idea what in the world's going to go on here, but I guess here he is driving with his wife to work. Yikes. All right, guys. Yeah, we are reaching the point of total societal insanity. I think we need to slow it down a little bit here. Yikes. All right, guys, forget virtual pets. The next AI video craze is cats doing the Olympic diving. It's all thanks to Google's new Veo 3. And the unfortunate thing is, you know what? This is all on Instagram, and Instagram is blocked on my networks. Kind of frightening. So I can't actually watch the cats diving, but just to know, guys, if you have a Minimax, well, you can now watch cats engaging in diving competitions. Maybe I should have my cats engage in diving competitions. They really hate the water. Maybe they'd really like it if they're diving. Maybe if I go ahead and get this AI, feed them pictures of my cats, and show them the cats diving, maybe they'll think it's cool and they'll want to take a bath or something. I don't know. But anyway, the cat walks up on the diving board, dives on in, and that's that. I want to get into our last article here, though, because it's just, I just have questions here. If you're a golfer out here, there is now a self-driving golf trolley that wants to replace your caddy with AI. That's right. So, and it will also use video analysis to help you with your swing. So here is, I think they have some video of this. Yeah, here you go. Let's see, is there audio in this or not? I don't know.
Hi, Roberto.
Okay, I'm gonna turn off the audio on your end. So, all right. So here the caddy's over here, kind of following him around like a crazy stalker, and it'll come on over, it follows him around, and then it kind of will move over there, get him the clubs he needs, back out of the way, and then it uses the camera there to watch, and then it's going to give you information about your swing. Now, the question I have for it is, when you miss your swing and lob your golf club all the way into the pond, who's going into that pond to get it? You know, the golfer certainly isn't doing it. That's what the caddy's for. This thing, I don't know, man. I don't know, because I just don't think it's waterproof enough to go in. And it also, it lacks human compassion and empathy. So it cannot have super hard hurt feelings when you force it. It doesn't have that ability to be demeaned quite like your caddy does. And so the golfer, I'm not seeing this as a big golf thing, because the reality is, as they're looking around at what all's going on, and they say, you know what? I need a caddy here not to carry my golf clubs. I need a caddy here to deeply humiliate at every part of my game. And I need somebody to go in and fetch my golf club out of the pond when I've heaved it into there because I missed the putt. So this thing's not going to be doing that. So I'm not sure this is going to be a big seller, but I don't know. If you're a golfer out there, would you use that? Let me know. Once again, if you want to help support the channel, you can have a look over at the website, switchlinux.com/support. Jump on over there. You can learn about all the different ways that you can help support Switch to Linux. And with that, I'm going to see if I can't rustle up a kitty cat. And then once I have a kitty cat rustled up, then we will feed the beast, and then we will hang out on comments until we are done. So there is not a cat over here right now. Let me see if I can find one. Hey, kitty, you want some kitty treats? Do you want some kitty treats? Come here, buddy. Yeah, you want some kitty treats? Come here, buddy. Come here. Oh. Yeah, there you go. And there's that. Oh, it's kitty treats. It's kitty treats. It's kitty treats. Kitty treats. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. And one more. Yeah, they're good. Yeah. All right, so that concludes the content of the show. If you want to hang out and watch, listen to our comments, you can go ahead and do that. If you want to head on out, you can do that. So let's go ahead and jump on over to, let's just see what we have over here. We got 17 watching still on Rumble. Reasonable compromise. The Miss Mini Discs, CD perforated protective cases. Yep. We must bring back MDs. Think of the space-saving benefits of a van. There you go. Yeah, the mini discs. The mini discs was the only media platform I never got actually into. I wanted to. I just didn't have the money for it, and I went down the Laserdisc route. Now, a time before people started proposing marriage to AI. That's wild. Yep. But RoboCaddy also doesn't eat carrots while you're putting. There you go. All right. And we got, how many over here? We got 10 watching on Odyssey, wherever not to see this. Stop calling it soccer, you guys. It's football. Oh, dear. Movie's absolutely cringeworthy. Which one? So much for graceful cats. Hey, kitty. Leave my coffee cup alone. All right, let's see how many we got. We got 46 watching on the Tubies. Let's have a look at our Tubi comments. We only got a few of them done earlier. All right. Does that to me. A few channels sub to on the home pages. Yep. Stupid reason I haven't gotten the updates. Yeah, that's it. RCS, really crappy service. There you go. Used to be a subscriber, but I thought Tom wasn't updating. Oh, really? No, I'm, yeah, I mean, multiple videos a week. We're doing 4 videos a week typically. We do Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, Saturday. Occasionally Saturday gets skipped, but typically I shoot for Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, Saturday is what I'm doing right now. RCS better in SMS, works better over Wi-Fi and can send higher quality. Yep. Yeah, it just gives Google a copy of everything you're doing. Have to work as a text and email and the main communication between main office, bosses in and out of office all day. Sounds like Stardink has shadow banned the one article you were interested in sharing. Yeah, I know, right? Mission accomplished. That's right. I'll come back for the edited version. Can't watch at 1x speed. Yeah, we're, Calhooley. We're not doing the edited down versions anymore. We put on the timestamps though. We'll get the timestamps up. Don't watch at 0.5. There you go. Yeah, Drunk Tom is kind of funny. Drunk Tom. If you've seen Drunk Tom, it wasn't me. All right. Updates all the time, but be aware we're going to be busy in July a lot. Yeah, there will be a lot of next couple weeks. Let's see. We should do a news program next Thursday, although it might be one I run a premiere on. I don't know. I'm taking off some time then, and then I think it's the following week. Yeah, I think it's the following week. No, the following week I'm also off, and then in 2 weeks I'm off. I have a couple weeks where I'll be completely off. So, all right. Is Linux not part of the news updates anymore? Seems like we were getting headlines like crazy in the FOSS world lately. I have occasionally. I'll throw some in there. I just, a lot of the Linux news is nothing significantly more than a couple of small updates. LibreX is one, but I just haven't had a chance to dig into it a whole lot more than I would like to. Just seems a lot more drama caused by extreme left wokey devs in the FOSS Linux world of late, and Lunduke covers it. Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, I'm not trying to be political anywhere. I'm just trying to use Linux and things like that. But the reality is, yeah, a lot of the news stuff, I don't want to cover deeply political news. I just don't want to cover how crazy woke and crazy the GNOME team happens to be, Lunduke can do. I disagree. I think Lunduke does a pretty good job. There's some things. So I think looking at the situation with LibreX and that developer, I think that there was a lot more going on there than just he got booted off because of something else. Looking at Brody's video on that one too with the LibreX, it's one of the problems is that the developer that's pushing out all the patches, there were a lot of bugs coming through that weren't properly resolved, and that was causing a lot of problems. But at the same time, I also argue that if the X developers are not interested in working on the X project, maybe they should pass the keys to somebody more interested. And so that's a sticky one. It's not Brody's completely right, and it's not Brian Lunduka's completely right. That is a case where it really is along the middle line. Which was interesting. So if you don't know what I'm talking about with X, of course, people are like, all of the Wayland evangels, which are kind of crazy people. Literally, it's like X people, yeah, use whoever you want. Wayland cool, X cool, whatever. Wayland people, everyone's got to be on Wayland. We got to kill X. And they're flipping crazy. All right, they're nuts. They're insane. Okay, and so. The challenge is that nobody was working on a lot of these bugs with X, and so one developer came in and pushed out tons of patches. And the problem is that, well, that was cool and it resolved a lot of things that people were complaining weren't getting done. So it's kind of like, oh, you're not going to get stuff done? Okay, we'll get stuff done. That's fine. And so as those got pushed out, it turned out that they weren't as tested as they should have been. And so it did cause a number of problems on X server on many devices. And so, they kind of booted them out mostly for that reason. But the counter to that point is that these are the X developers that have been sitting on these bugs for years and choosing not to fix them. So is it better to go with the initiative person who breaks a few things, or the teams with all of the keys to the kingdom that are choosing to do nothing? Well, I'm going to go with a guy that's trying to fix things. So I kind of agree with the LibreX side of things. And I think that that's a better way to go. But yeah, I think that though using the code of conduct to boot somebody out is ridiculous. It's the same thing with all these guys. These people are the most hateful, absolute hateful psychopaths in the internet, yet they want to accuse everyone else around them of engaging in hate. They're the ones to hate. They really are. And so that case with X versus Wayland and LibreX and all that kind of situation, Lunduke was half right and Brody was half right. It was an interesting case. All right, so more to Linux news than just blue hair drama. Fedora's tossing out 32. Like, some of this cool stuff that just came out, guys, you have to understand, I was not on the internet half of this week. So, I missed a lot of news cycle stuff. I did the best that I could do just to get the news articles put together. But, I was out touching a whole lot of grass, not getting on the internet. I stopped by a friend's farm, hung out at my brother's house for a while, went to my old best friend's house, played cards all day. I did not go near the internet for like a whole week. So it was great. I recommend. All right. You have checked microfilm and microfiche to do the research. Yep, I remember those. When we began thinking for you, it became our world. Ooh, there you go. Fair Fedora is switching their X server to LibreX, which is a positive. I think it's X Libra. I've been calling it LibreX. I think it's X Libra. All right. Okay. Any distro likely to support that would be Mint or Debian. Let's see. Work with AI and did with Wikipedia. Read what it has and then check the sources. Yep. Lunduke not only tells half stories, he's taken it outright lying not to. No, I think he's doing great. I think he's doing great, honestly. Lunduke's like any news person you hear that they have to say, and it's like any news person, hear what they have to say and go look for yourself. His hit count is higher than his strike count, and that's what matters. Yeah, that's true. And that's something that I had addressed. I'd addressed a few weeks ago, because, you know, when I had said there was an article I had talked about. I forgot to look up the actual article. It just kind of, the story came to me as I was talking about a related content about the teenage girl who received coupons from Target relevant to pregnancy, and her father marches into Target demanding to know why they're sending his teenage daughter pregnancy related things. And it turns out that Target figured out she was pregnant before she figured out she was pregnant. And so he leaves in the comments and says, that sounds like an urban legend. Where'd that come from? And it's like, and I thought myself, did I get that wrong? Is that something? So I look it up. Just type in a couple simple keywords. Very first article is Forbes. I don't think Forbes is going to be reporting on urban legends. You know, and the point I'm making here is that, say somebody like Brian Lunduke says something, you're like, prove it. Let me see the link. Why don't you do a little bit of research? If you think he's wrong, do the research and find out for yourself. That's the factor that's missing in our current world. That's why we have such a divisive world. I mean, just let's get briefly political. Look at that guy, what Vance called him Jose the other day, you know, whatever that senator or whoever he was. I don't even know, because he's irrelevant. Nobody knows who the guy is. But he goes to a press conference without his ID, without his Senate identification, without any indication that he is actually a person elected to a state house. And I just can't remember if he's a congressman, representative, if he's a state representative, if he's a senator. I just don't know exactly what. He's an elected official. He goes into a Christie Nome conference, and rather than like sitting in the back listening and maybe raising his hand to ask a question, rather than going in, identifying himself to the security team and saying, hey, I'm so-and-so from the Senate, I'd like to ask a question. Instead, he decides during a live press conference, and she's out there talking, he decides he wants to rush the stage. And then they do what the security team is supposed to do, and they put him to his knees and drag him out of there. And then he gets up, I was so humiliated, I was made to get on my knees. Let's think about what this tyrannical tyrant can do to you if I am an elected official. And if you had an ounce of integrity in your life, and you would look up the situation, you would know that that guy was so in the wrong, he should resign from his position because he's too stupid to hold public office. Well, you're going to approach a member of the president's cabinet without identifying yourself in the middle of a press conference where she's talking and not think you're going to get dragged out by security? Are you always this stupid? My God, people. Do a little research is the point, because every person on the left talking point hears that, goes, oh, that's how tyrannical Donald Trump's side is. And if they just rub together the two brain cells still inside of that pink dyed hair and look at the situation and go, maybe an unidentified person charging the Secretary of Defense is not a smart thing to do. That's not me being a political right wing and a Trump lover and all that. That's simply stating objective fact. We have video. And that's why I get banned from Fostodon for talking about the ICE riots. Rub a couple brain cells together and realize it's not in Google's best interest to send Waymo cars to the protests. Because they ain't peaceful. It's mostly peaceful. There's just 5 Waymo cars that have been torched. All right. Well, that was a fun rant. It was enjoyable. All right. Debian equals good. Currently waiting LMDE 7. Hoping for Wayland integration. Yeah. Let's see. Wayland is like being a bad relationship. One release at a time. All right, never been more self-loving human being. Pretty sick, really. All right. Okay. Let's see. The person who submitted the request decided to rescind it. Phoenix proposed to ship X Libre as X11 server packages on Fedora Linux is withdrawn. Even Trixie giving it a try, giving up on the switch over to X Session. Oh, buggy software, my Windows flickering in the dark. I'll just boot up Windows. There you go, right? All right. Heard several places are actually working on it. X11 and GNOME always seem to be mentioned in an obsolete tone. Let's see. GNOME itself has been obsolete for a while now. People date ChatGPT. Yeah, isn't that frightening? Hard to wrap my head around. Maybe it was my first computer 30 years ago. I'd have a different thing. Yeah, Wayland sucks. Red Hat, IBM sucks. Yeah. No, I disagree, Neil. I think that Lunduke actually does a lot of really good work as an actual journalist. You understand? He is an actual journalist going back, looking at stuff. Like somebody said up above, I think he's gotten more things right than he's gotten wrong. All right, let's see. Chainsaws might be better for axes, but common sense people, yeah. Wayland is awful. Yeah, it depends on what you're doing with it. I mean, it can work under some circumstances. Let's see. Who doesn't peddle propaganda online these days? There you go. Brody. Yeah. Well, maybe, maybe not. Yeah, let's see. Someone reports facts, doesn't give them someone else's online propaganda. Let's see. Someone can't take opposing viewpoints. Yeah, well. Lefties try to silence other people who disagree. Yep. I've noticed the older shows, they cut out minutes or speed things up to fit in more commercials. Yep, there's some of those things. Yep. No, well, I mean, going back to the Ex Libra situation, though, the fact that they booted him out with the same non-specific code of conduct stuff rather than addressing issues, that is the problem. And Lunduke was 100% right about that case, by the way. Yeah. So there's that. All right. Nothing on streaming I'd want to see. Cable TV died for me in 2005. Yep. $20-$30 a month for streaming ESPN hockey, then can binge watch Paramount Plus for a couple months before canceling. Yeah, pay for much less for streaming than I ever did for cable. Yeah, that was one of the things. If the average was like about, even if the average was the $70, the article I couldn't confirm that many people were throwing out, the average amount of money people were paying at cable at its peak was $120. But also remember that 120 10 years ago is a whole lot more. Let's see, was that more or less? Let's see. Yeah, that would be a whole lot more than 70 is now, right? So that's cable was a lot more expensive. Of course, that's if you had the expensive packages. You could always get the cheaper cable packages and things like that. Got in physical media long ago. Yeah, everything I want to have. Yeah, that's the thing. I'm always adding things to my list of stuff to pick up. Always looking for stuff when I'm out and about. Date okay was something like $140. Yeah. Yep. DVD comeback sounds good. Yep. Local Walmart sells DVDs. Yep. Good enough for me, and the older movies don't look much better on Blu-ray. Yeah, especially as you get older, man, the eyes just don't see as well, Physical media, no editing the content, so woke snowflakes won't get their fees. Yeah, that's another thing, and that's actually something. Leaving that out for political stuff. Look at the psycho hack Bill Nye the Science Moron. That guy there, back in his heyday in the 90s when he released this program, he did all these, and you can, if you go out and you buy the original set, at least if you bought the original set, you could watch all of the Bill Nye the Science Guy episodes that you want. But since he's come back as effectively a leftist hag, he came back, and in response to him coming back, they re-released all their stuff, except they left out that one pesky episode about the difference between boys and girls. You can stream all the Bill Nye episodes except that one. They pulled it. because it's too inconvenient for the radical left, and he's a member of the radical left. It's hilarious. So yeah, that's and that's why when I saw that they were trying to edit all the Roald Dahl books, I actually went out immediately and downloaded physical digital copies of all of the books I could find, so that I could have the unedited ones. Let's see. Night of Light, greetings. Didn't get the update for your channel. Subscriber thought you stopped. Yeah, no, I'm still here. Never stopped. I will be taking a break though. A couple breaks for camp. Not committing to get videos out. I will if I can, but I'm not committing to it. So, as a teenager, when I was a teenager, I found YouTube. It basically replaced movies and TV for me. That's right. Imagine when Ex Libra gets supported by Mint. Tom will cover it. Yeah, I probably will. Yeah. I just knocked on wood. Sorry. Melton Mazza versus Glue. Yep. Neighbor just pounded on the door, asked for help with a laundry room coin mechanism in the washer. Uh-oh. Trying to put quarters in the coin return. Uh-oh. Let's see. Glad I was able to make it. Not glad about why. Nearly passed out of work. Oh, no. That's not good, dude. I hope it's nothing serious. As Lewis Rossman says, it's pathetic that the high seas has higher quality of the same content that's paying for on the streaming services. Yeah, that's right. That's right. Too much bad acrobatics and not enough storyline, which is the main reason I watch wrestling. Who cares about the fight without the reasoning for it? Yeah? Made my own PowerShell profile, password manager for Windows computer I'm forced to use at work. YouTube's reason I'm not a subscriber. Sorry they cut it out for you. That's fine, you know. You can always subscribe too if you use Rumble or Odyssey or something. You can always subscribe over there too. So, okay. Protesters and there are donkeys doing looting and vandalism. Doesn't take a large number of people to do a large amount of damage. Hope they face justice. Yeah, I mean, there were a whole lot more looters than there were protesters. But the point is, though, that I made in that one video, Neil, is that these protesters were morons. Okay, they're over there. Okay, you understand this. When you get down into what ICE is doing right now, ICE has this priority list. Number one, every single person, without exception, who is in this country without the proper authorization to be here is illegal. Every one of them. They are all committing crimes already. However, even though that is the case, what the Trump administration ordered ICE to do was to first find the people committing other dangerous, felonious crimes. So if somebody's doing like speeding or simple shoplifting, not high on the list of priorities. People are out there committing murders or R-wording people or hurting children. Those are the people at the top of the list. So the ICE went to find 15 people. They had warrants for 15 people, actual warrants for people who were child molesters, rapists, and murderers. They went to get those 15 specific people, and they get blocked by a whole lot of people who think they are doing good by allowing those scumbags, not the ICE agents, the illegals, from staying in their community. Do you want people in your community that have no respect for the laws of your land to come here illegally, and then once they're here start damaging the children in your neighborhood? Or would you rather they get picked up and handled with the justice system? So even these protesters are morons because they just seem to think ICE is just showing up and just grabbing everybody that looks somewhat brown and throwing them on a bus and kicking them out. And if you do a little bit of research, that's not what's going on. Now, are there a few people that are not doing all these things that are also being deported? The answer is yes, and that's because when they go to find the people who are actually doing the bad crimes, they are finding these other people with them, verifying they are illegal, and hey, they got caught up in the dragnet because of their associations. But remember, they're still criminals. So even protesting what ICE is doing, going in with warrants and arresting people who are actually doing violent, felonious crimes, if you want to stand in the way of that, I say deport those guys too. If you think it's so amazing, if you think these guys are so amazing, go with them. Go somewhere else. I'll pay for your ticket. Go somewhere else. You know? But to your point, yes, there are people that are just there protesting, and there are people that are doing vandalism and looting. I'm saying not even the protesting is making any sense. All right, let's see. Haven't plugged the microphone of the computer in years. Yeah, if you're using a laptop, though, you got one. That's the problem of that one article. All right. Seals change. Great news. People showing here are just awful. Well, I'm not sure we got hostile. Small Town Library has plenty of audiobooks. Get them for free. Yep, there you go. Personally, I hate audiobooks unless they are multiple people doing the voices. Actually, you generally won't find audiobooks with multiple people doing the voices. Back when there were rules about how you could record audiobooks, you couldn't do that. But what you might have is a really good voice actor who does multiple voices in there. Okay. Run. Yeah. Be sure to sue him for child support because he clearly got way too much time on his hands and should be working more. All right. Only refurbished Switch 2 system I'd buy is one directly from Nintendo to make sure it's not a brick system. Yeah, which is problematic because now it means that you just caused the cost of the used market to die. And that's also anti-consumer, though. So that's problematic. See you later, CCJ. Greetings. Hope Solus moves Budgie to Ex Libre. We'll see. Yeah. Journalists isn't supposed to be right or wrong. They're supposed to fully report without bias. Good guys and bad guys. Whose side are you on? Let's think for ourselves. Okay, there you go. Disagree with the protesters, but defend their right to protest. Extremely highly doubt you are correct in your assessment. There are more looters and vandals than protesters. Let's see. Well, I mean, if you look at what LA looks like, we'll part on positive terms on that one. All right. I agree. If they hate the country so much, then get out. Yeah, that's true. All right. Let's see. Over on Odyssey. I think we read a couple of these already. The idiots is fun sometimes. What do you want to DM me? Lunduke is lots of mine, calling everyone who disagrees with us an anti-Semite. Well, to be fair, everyone is calling him, the entirety of everything else. So I don't know. Maybe it just sounds like the whole world needs to stop and grow up a little bit. Let's see. Think Trump admin is not tyranny. I really feel sorry for you. I couldn't care less for the Dems. So don't call me a leftist. So don't call me a leftist. I'm a white nationalist. Yeah. No, I don't think that the Trump administration fits the definition of a tyrant necessarily. Now, what they are doing is they are enforcing the laws of the country. And if you think that's tyranny, well, you need to change the laws of the country. So that's kind of what I think about that. But control mind, learn history. Let's see. If Trump cares for America, first agenda would be deporting all non-whites. No, I disagree with that because there's legitimate people that are here that are not white. Okay. All right, digitalized my entire DVD collection, kept the ones felt were important, and chucked the rest. RoboCaddy also doesn't care. We read a couple of these already. Yeah, the other one's asleep. It's super hot, so I'm actually surprised the other one jumped up so fast. Gave up on alcohol this year. Was hard at first, but don't miss it all. Can't think of a single good thing that came out of it. Amen, man. That's awesome. Congratulations. That is a good accomplishment. All right. I think, let's see. Know what you'll never see me doing? Flying the American flag in a foreign country saying how great America is. Because... you know what? Say, get back to America. Yes, it's true. All right, guys, we are going to wrap the show up there for now. Thanks for hanging out, guys. Hopefully we'll have a video out on Saturday. We will see. With that, thanks for watching, and hope that you enjoy switching to Linux.